You turn it on yet? It's on?
Like, no.
Testing.
Yeah.
It's on? Okay.
You gotta put a little closer.
All right, take it. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. So أخوان, inshallah ta'ala, as advertised on the i'lan, we would like to discuss the issue, the affair of Tabarruj. Tabarruj, which is the woman openly displaying her beauty and her areas of temptation, whether it be the hair or the neck or the face or the bosom. So other than that, all of these things, the scholars, they define this as a tabarruj. And this is a topic, ya ikhwan, that many of the scholars, they have given importance to, admonishing the women, admonishing the awliya al-umur, the guardians that are in charge of the women, due to the important affair, due to its important affair. And perhaps there's even a greater need during our time, ya ikhwan, with the presence of the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and other than that, when tabarruj has become widespread on these sites, these social media sites, and other than that. So no doubt there's a need for this reminder. And this is not, of course, from the affair of trying to impose on the people or oversee the people, as some may claim, but rather from the aspect of the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And they counsel one another upon the truth, and they counsel one another upon patience. So this is from the sifat of the believer. This is from the sifat of the believer. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed that mankind, they're in the state of loss except those who possess these characteristics, al-iman billah, having belief in Allah, those things in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to have belief in. Also, putting forth righteous actions, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And they counsel one another upon the truth, and they counsel one another upon patience. So only if we pondered over this great surah, and we know the statement of Imam al-Shafi'i, لَوْ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ حُجَّةً عَلَى خَلْقِ إِلَّا هَذِهِ السُّورَةِ لَكَفَتْهُمْ. If it was that Allah only sent down upon His creation this surah, it would have sufficed them, due to the great ma'ani of Surah Al-Asr, and that which it entails. And inshallah ta'ala, ya ikhwan, we want to read some beneficial speech from the Allama, al-Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, and a treatise in which he named Tawjihat al-Mu'minat حول التبرج والسفور, or direction and advice to the believing women regarding a tabarruj, them displaying their outer beauty publicly and other than that, and a sufur, and uncovering their faces. So without further ado, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to try to take some benefits, ikhwan, from this very beneficial book as advice to our beloved sisters, and likewise the awliya al-umur, our beloved brothers, who are the guardians of their women, whether it be their mothers, or whether it be their sisters, or whether it be their daughters, or whether it be their wives. Shaykh Uthaymeen, ya ikhwani, opened up with a very beneficial muqaddimah. And he says, rahimahullahu ta'ala, he says, so before I begin this talk, I would like to begin with a small prelude, a small introduction, before we get into the main chapter and the main subject. And he said, this is munasib, this introduction and this prelude is munasib and appropriate for that which we're going to speak about. And he says, and it is that you all know أن من أكبر نعم الله علينا, from the greatest favors of Allah upon us is that He guided us to this religion, al-Islam, the religion of Islam, which is the most superior religion and the most correct from them. And Islam has given every person who deserves a right their due right. فَقَدْ أَعْطَى كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّهُ. And the religion has placed everyone in their proper place. فَفِي مَقَامِ الْعُبُودِيَّةِ. So that which relates to servitude and worship, and Islam had made this worship the sole right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any partners. This is the haqq of Allah, al-ibadah. حق الله على العباد أن يعبدوه ولا يشركوا به شيئا, that we worship Him and do not associate partners with Him. So this is the haqq regarding ubudiyyah, regarding servitude, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be worshipped alone. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And they were not commanded to except to worship Allah, making that worship sincerely for Him. As Allah mentions in Surah Al-Bayyinah, because Allah is the sole creator. So it's incumbent and it's a must that all acts of worship be performed and done for Him alone. He's the one who is loved, the one who is revered. So it is necessary that al-qasd wal-amal lahu, an yakun al-qasd wal-amal lahu wa ilayh, that our objective and our actions be for Him and towards Him alone subhanahu wa ta'ala. And likewise, fi maqam al-mu'amala, that which relates to dealings and transactions between the creation, that Islam, it is commanded that everyone be given their due right. So the nafs has a right, the soul, the self, it has a right, and the families, they have rights. وَلِلْأَصْحَابِ حَقٌّ. And likewise, your companions and our friends, they have rights that they can't be prevented. And likewise, those who we do transactions with, they have rights. وَفِي مَقَامِ الْمُعَاهَدَاتِ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ غَيْرِنَا. Likewise, that which relates to contracts and covenants and other than that, then the people, they have rights. Islam يَأْمُرُنَا بِالْوَفَاءِ بِهَا. That Islam has commanded us to be truthful and faithful and loyal to covenants and contracts. And likewise, it has prohibited us from deceit and treachery. He says, so our religion, walillah alhamd, this religion of Islam, is a religion that commands of all lofty characteristics, jumlatan wa tafseela, all lofty characteristics, in general and in detail. And likewise, Islam prohibits the masawi and akhlaq, all evil characteristics. So whoever ponders over Islam thoroughly, Shaykh Uthaymeen says, they will find it is the best of religions and the most correct from them. And that is a religion which is suitable for every time and place. وَأَنُّ مَفْخَرَةٌ لِأَهْلِهِ وَعِزٌّ وَكَرَامَةٌ. And it's a reason that his people be proud. The Muslims, they have pride. And they feel honor and nobility for being Muslims. And that one knows that Islam is a kafilun bis-sa'adati fi dunya wal-akhirah. That it is a guarantor for happiness in this life and likewise in the hereafter. And likewise in the hereafter. وأن به التقدم الحسي والمعنوي. And through it, there's progression, whether it be spiritually or physically. There's progression in Islam. As some people claim that holding on to Islam, it brings people to a standstill, and they say, look at the kuffar, and they have taqaddum and they have progression. But the true progression is in Islam, if we truly hold on to the religion. Whether it be in the affairs of the dunya, and of course in the affairs of the deen. And Shaykh Uthaymeen says, وَمَنْ شَكَّ فِي ذَلِكَ, and whoever has any doubt regarding that, then let them look at the beginning of Islam. Tariq Sadr al-Islam. Let them look at the history and the beginning of Islam. When the Muslims, they were Muslims inwardly and outwardly. وَلَمْ تَغُرُّهُمُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَعَلَيْكُمْ السَّلَامُ. They were not deceived by this worldly life. وَلَمْ يَغُرُّهُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. And they were not deceived by the devil, by shaitan. He says, so it was upon us to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that which He bestowed upon us from this religion of Islam. And that we preserve this ni'mah by acting in accordance to that which the Prophet ﷺ came with, inwardly and outwardly, in open and in secret. Allah mentions, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُ أَمْثَالَكُمْ. And if you turn away, and if you turn away from the religion, then Allah will bring in exchange another people, and they will not be the likes of you. He says, so there is this religion of Islam. If it is a person, if it is, the blessing of the religion of Islam, if it is thanked, it will remain, wazadid, and it will increase. If it is not thanked, the mahallat, wazalat. If it is not thanked, it will disappear and go away and diminish. وَحَلَّ بَدْلُهَا شِعَارُ الْكُفْرِ وَالْبِدْعِ وَالضَّلَالِ. And it will come in its place what? The affairs of kufr and bid'ah, innovation and dalal and misguidance. He said, وَإِنَّ الْعَاقِلَ يَقِيسُ وَيَفْهَمُ. And a person who is aqil, who is of sound intellect, they understand, and they'll draw a comparison. And it is that, just as the ni'mah of aman, of safety and security, if it is not thanked, what would take its place? Khawf, fear. If a person is in a state of aman, safety and security, and they don't think that, and they're not thankful, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may take that away from them. Well, likewise, the ni'matul rizq, provisions. If a person doesn't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, if one is not thankful, it can be exchanged with al-ju', hunger. Likewise, the ni'mah of the religion, of ad-deen, if it is not thanked, and one is not grateful, it can be exchanged with kufr. وَالْإِسْلَامُ أَعَزَّ مِمَّنْ ينتمي إليه. So Islam is greater than those who ascribe to it. فإذا لم يجد أناس يعرفون قدر نعمة الله عليهم به. So it doesn't find people who know the value of Allah's ni'mah upon them. ويعضون عليها بالنواجذ. And they don't hold on to it with their molar teeth. And they do not see it as a ghanima, as a like the spoils of war, something precious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them. فَسَوْفَ يَرْتَحِلُ عَنْهُمْ إِلَى غَيْرِهِمْ. Then perhaps it may lead them to those other than them. And this is important muqaddimah, ya akhwan. This is a very important qaddimah due to the subject that we're speaking about. Because why? Because this affair of tabarruj, ya akhwan, the masdar, its masdar is none other than making taqleed of the kuffar, making taqleed of the disbelievers. So if it's the case that we have the best religion, Allah bestowed upon us the best religion, that which brings us honor and nobility, and other than that, then why is it the case that we're fast to follow behind the ideas of the kuffar, afkar mustawrada, things which are foreign to Islam, and other than that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He raises with Islam. نحن قوم عزنا الله بالإسلام. As Umar ibn Khattab said, we are people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised through Islam. So we're not pleased for ourselves other than it. So we also always have to keep that ikhwan, nasb aynayn, in front of our, on our minds. The second thing Shaykh Uthaymeen, he mentions quickly, and we'll, due to the sake of time, he mentions the path of rectification. How does rectification occur? When we see these affairs, that occurs from the believers, whether it be from our women or from our men, and other than that, what is the sabil of it? What is the sabil and what is the path of rectification? Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says, وَعَلَى مَنْ أَرَادَ إِصْلَاحِ عِبَادِ اللَّهِ وَدَعْوَتَهُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ, and those who would like to rectify the servants and the slaves of Allah and call them to that which is good, then it's upon them and yukhlisa an-niyya, that they and make their intention sincere, wa yuslih al-amal, and they rectify their actions. So whenever the intention is sincere, wa salah al-amal bi-ijtihad, and the actions are correct due to making ijtihad and being diligent and striving, wa nadru fil masalih, and looking at the masalih, that which has benefit, and treading the closest path that will lead you to it. When a person has these two affairs, ya ikhwan, when a person gathers between these two affairs, having ikhlas and making ijtihad fil islah, salahat al-ashya. When a person has sincerity, and when a person is diligent, has diligence upon making islah and rectifying, then things will become rectified bi-idhnillah. And anytime these two affairs are not present, either ikhlas, one of these two affairs are not present, either ikhlas or either al-ijtihad, فإنه يفوت من المصلحة ويفوت من المصلحة بقدر ذلك. According to that maslahah will pass us by. So that's important, ya ikhwan. Because sometimes you find that people, when they see ills and other than that, and they may have a niyyah salihah, the correct intention, but they don't put those correct actions forward to strive and rectifying that. Or you may find the opposite. You might find a person diligent in trying to rectify what they see from evil, but they're not sincere about it. So both of these matters, they have their place in rectification. And Shaykh Uthaymeen Yazid had the wuduh, and he says, and also from hikmah, when calling the people, when calling the servants of Allah, that a person looks at the tasarrufat ghayrihi, the behavior and the actions of other than him, biminzar rahma wal nus. A person looks at those individuals with a look of mercy and that of advice. When you see a person falling short and other than that, you look at him, subhanallah, this individual needs advice. Let me try to tread the closest path to advise this person with that which is correct. And likewise, you feel rahmah, you feel mercy upon these individuals. Due to treading that path, that may lead them to an ending which is not praiseworthy. So Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says, فَإِنَّ كُلُّ أَحَدٍ لَا بُدٍ يُخْطِئ. So everyone, it's a must that everyone falls short, except those who Allah protects Azza wa Jal. ولكن ليس من الحكمة أن ينظر الإنسان إلى جانب الخطأ فقط ويدع جانب الصواب. However, but it's not from hikmah that a person looks just at the janib al-khata, that which is the mistakes from those individuals, without looking at the janib al-sawab, that which is correct. But they look at both of them, وَيُوَازِن بَيْنَهُمَا, and they weigh both of those out. and then they strive to make islah of the khata. Because indeed the believers are like a bunyan, like a structure. One part strengthens the other. Ikhwan, from that which Islam has come with, رعاية للمرأة وصيانة لكرامتها, in order to look after the well-being of the women and to preserve their nobility, is that Islam has commanded the woman with what? Makarim al-akhlaq, lofty characteristics. And from makarim al-akhlaq, and from those lofty characteristics which Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came with, is that noble characteristic which is al-khuluq al-haya, the characteristic of shyness, and which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, is from iman. We know the hadith, wal haya'u, what's the hadith? Wal haya' shu'batun min al-iman. Wal haya'u shu'batun min al-iman. Al-iman ستون أو بدع وستون أو بدع وسبعون شعبة أعلاها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدناها إماتة الأذى عن الطريق والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. So the Prophet ﷺ, he clarified that al-haya is from the branches of iman. Al-haya is from the branches of iman. And when the Prophet ﷺ, he saw an individual advising someone of his shyness because he thought he was too shy, but the Prophet ﷺ said, دَعْهُ فَإِنُّ مِنْ الْإِيمَانِ, leave this individual. Shyness is from iman. And he was speaking about a man from the male companion. So what about the women? The shyness that the women must be upon. So Shaykh Uthaymeen says, and no one denies that haya, shyness, al-ma'mur bihi shar'an wa 'urfan, that which is commanded, and the legislation, and likewise that which is known amongst the customs of the people, is ihtisham al-mar'a. That from shyness is that the woman being modest. This is something known. From shyness is that the woman is modest. وَتَخَلُّقُهَا بِالْأَخْلَاقِ الَّتِي تُبْعِدُهَا الْمَوَاطِنِ الْفِتْنِ, and that she takes on characteristics that distances her from the places of fitn, وَمَوَاضِعَ الرِّيبِ or al-rayb, and from the places of doubt, and from that which there is no doubt, أن احتجابها بتغطية وجهها, by her covering, by veiling her face, مواضع الفتنة, and covering her areas of fitna, her bosoms, her hair, and other than that. لهو أكبر احتشام تفعله وتتحلى به. This is the biggest trait of modesty that she has, that she can take on. بلا شك. لما فيه من صونها وابعادها عن الفتن عن الفتنة. And this is what preserves and distances her from fitna. And the hijab in which it is incumbent for the woman to wear is that she covers the whole of her body, except from her husband or from her maharim, those male relatives that she can uncover in front of. And of course, even with that, there's a head with her male relatives. And this is due to the statement of Allah, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين. O Prophet, say to your wives and your daughters and the believing women to draw their jilbabs all over their body. This is better for them that they be known as believing women, and they will not be harmed. And they will not be harmed. This is from the purpose of the hijab, ya ikhwan. This is from the purpose of the hijab, that the women, they are known as chaste, believing women. and then they will not be annoyed and harmed. So ألا يتعارض هذا يا إخوان مع الصور التي توضع على الإنترنت? Does this not contradict with those pictures that are placed on the internet for everyone to see, for millions of people to see? No doubt this contradicts with that, ya ikhwan wa akhawat. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you that you cover your body, so that you can be known as a believing Muslim woman, and not be harmed. Yarhamukallah. And the jilbab, ya ikhwan, is the white cloak that covers the whole of the body. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded His Prophet to tell his wives and his daughters, the believing women, to draw their cloaks all over their bodies, حَتَّى يَسْتُرْنَ بُجُوهَهُنَّ وَنُحُورُهُنَّ, so they may cover their faces and their necks and the rest of that. And we're not going to make this discussion the affair of the niqab and covering the face. And we know that it's ikhtilaf between the scholars. Bila shak, and Shaykh Uthaymeen's opinion is that is that which is wajib. This is the opinion that Shaykh Uthaymeen states in the book. But what we will say is that we know that covering the face was the practice of the wives of the Prophet, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, and the noble sahabiyat. And they were the best of the women. And that was the best of generations. So, at the very least, we'll say that. And then, no doubt, there are mafasid and harms in the women uncovering their face. Like I said, let alone the idea of the ikhtilaf of whether it's wajib, whether it's not wajib. But no doubt there are mafasid and uncovering the face. Shaykh Uthaymeen mentions a few of them. He said, number one, al-fitna. That it causes fitna. Because of the woman, if she uncovers her face, حَصَلَ بِهِ فِتْنَةٌ لِلرِّجَالِ, it becomes a fitna for the men. And this is something that no one denies. It becomes a fitna for the men. Especially if she's a shaba, she's a young lady, she's pretty. Or perhaps if she does that which beautifies her face. وَهَذَا مِنْ أَكْبَرْ دَوَاعِي الشَّرِّ وَالْفَسَادِ. This is from the greatest reasons of evil and corruption. Likewise, from the mafasid of sufur, of uncovering the face, زَوَالِ الْحَيَاءِ الْمَرْأَةِ. It is a reason for removing shyness from the woman. That which is from iman, the shyness which is from iman. And from that which our fitrah necessitates. فَقَدْ كَانَتِ الْمَرْأَةِ مَضْرَبَ الْمَثَلِ فِي الْحَيَاءِ. That it was a time when the people used to strike a parable of shyness with women. Or they used to strike a parable regarding a woman's shyness. As it used to be said, Shaykh Uthaymeen says that a person would strike a parable and they would say, أحيا من العذراء في خدرها. This was a parable. Shyer than a virgin woman in her quarters. Shyer than a virgin woman in her quarters. So the woman having shyness, this was a parable that the people used to strike when wanted to put forth a parable regarding shyness. Because this is something known, that the woman, from her fitrah, that she should be shy, and she should be modest. Also from those harms of sufur, uncovering the face, شدة تعلق الرجال ومتابعتهم إياها. That it causes men to have a strong attachment to the woman, and they pursue those women. لا سيما, especially that كانت جميلة, and she is pretty. وحصل منها تملق وضحك ومداعبة, and it occurs from her flirting and joking, and other than that, speaking in a cute voice or a sexy voice, or other than that, as you find with many of the women who uncover their face. And again, ya ikhwan, bringing it back to the affair of the internet, that you find the women who uncover their face on the internet, how many followers do you see them having from men and other than that? And opposed to the woman, she's just following for benefit. She doesn't have any picture and things like that. But you find those women who are safirat, their faces uncovered, you find that the men pursue these women. You find that they pursue these women. And no doubt this is from the mafasid, this is from the harms. Because again, the woman, the Muslim woman, it's upon her to be shy. It's upon her to be modest. It's upon her to stay away from mawadi' al-rayb wal-fitan. Now, they request from our sisters to lower your voices, inshallah ta'ala, because some cannot hear. Jazakumullah khairan. Now, so this is malmus ya akhwan al-internet. You find this. This is something known. This is something known. So this is also from the mafasid of the women being safirat, uncovering their face, that the men, they are quicker to pursue these women and follow in the qulub da'ifa ya akhwan. The hearts are weak. And Shaykh Uthaymeen is going to explain the hearts are weak ya akhwan. Perhaps a woman is pursued, and we're weak, because Shaykh Uthaymeen is going to mention this. And he says, and like it is said, nadratun, first the look, fasalamun, and then the salams is given, fakalam, and then you strike a conversation, famaw'id, and then you set up a maw'id and a meeting, faliqa, and then the meeting takes place. Naam ya akhwan, this is how shaitan yatadarraj bil insan, gradually leads insan to halaka, to destruction. And shaitan, he flows through the body of Adam, majra dam, just as blood flows through the body of Adam. He says, فَكَمْ مِنْ كَلَامٍ وَضَحْكٍ وَفَرْحٍ. So how many times did speech and striking up conversations and laughing with the women, or the women laughing with the men, أوجب تعلق قلب الرجل بالمرأة, causes the man's heart to grow attached to the woman, or vice versa, the woman's heart to become attached to the man. You find this. You strike a conversation with a woman you shouldn't be speaking to, you find your heart becoming attached to her, or her heart becomes attached to you, and then it leads to that يعني ما لا تحمد عقباه, that which ending is not praiseworthy. نسأل الله السلامة, and we ask Allah for the safety and well-being. الواجب تجاه العادات وتقاليد المستوردة. Shaykh Uthaymeen, he goes on to mention that which is the necessary stance towards following those foreign practices that come upon the Muslims, meaning those which are foreign to Islam. Because perhaps a person may say, and here in America, those things aren't foreign to us, but we mean those things which are foreign to Islam. Islam hasn't come with those things. Rather, Islam has come with the opposite. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah, he says, وَإِنَّ لَا لَنَأْسِفُ كُلَّ الْأَسِفِ, and we find it very sad, and يأخذ أقوام من هذه الأمة المسلمة, that some people from this Muslim ummah, they take hold of everything, every foreign thing, tradition and practice that comes to them, من غير أن يتأنوا فيها, without first having deliverance, first looking, examining in light of the religion and in light of sound intellect. And they look, do those things oppose the Sharia of Islam? Because if they do, if they find that they oppose the Sharia of Islam, then they must reject them and avoid them, just as the healthy body rejects an infection. ثم نصحوا من كان متلبسا بها, then they advise their brothers who are indulged in these affairs, الذين وردوا بها ونقلوها لمجتمعاتهم, those who came with these practices and then they carried them on to their society, that they advise them. فهذه حقيقة المؤمن, this is the reality of the mu'min. أن يكون قوي الشخصية, that the believer is one who has a strong personality, the Muslim. Not the one who has a weak personality. The Muslim has a strong personality. They look and they examine affairs. When affairs come to them, you just don't jump into affairs just as soon as they come to you, without weighing them in the light of the legislation, weighing them in the light of the sound intellect. Going back into Ahl Ilm, what does Ahl Ilm say about these affairs? So the believer, ya akhwan, has a strong personality. مَتْبُوعًا لَا تَابِعًا. One who is followed, not a follower. The believer, men and women, we don't run and follow behind the kuffar. The kuffar should be following behind us. We don't run and follow behind the kuffar. We have the best religion. We worship the Creator alone, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We follow the best of mankind, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and those who came after him from the Salaf al-Salih. Why are we following them? Ikhwan, akhawat. For what reason are we following them? So he said, so the believer, likewise, he's salihan muslihan. He's upright and he rectifies others. Nafid al-azima. Yani he carries out what he's determined to do. Basira tafkir, possessing insight. He says, so if these adat, if these practices and these customs and other than that come to us, if they don't oppose the sharia, the legislation, what do? فَلْيَنْظُرْ إِلَيْهَا بِنَظْرِ الْعَقْلِ. We still look at them from the aspect of sound intellect. فَنَنْظُرْ مَا نَتِيجَتُهَا فِي الْحَاضِرِ وَالْمُسْتَقْبَلِ الْقَرِيبِ وَالْبَعِيدِ. We look at what it may possibly result in now and in the future, sooner and later, now and later. فإنه قد لا يكون لها تأثير ملموس في الحاضر. Because perhaps an effect of a certain affair, even though it may not look as it goes against the religion, but the effect of that particular affair at that moment, it may not be saw. يعني we may not see the effect of that matter right then and there. لكن لها تأثير مرتقبا في المستقبل. But perhaps that thing may have an effect waiting along down the line. And this is something our brother Abul Hassan, it reminded me of, that when the internet first came to Saudi, حرسها الله بلد التوحيد. When the internet first came, Saudi, what did they do? Did they say أهلا وسهلا, bring the internet? No, they said لا نتوقف ننتظر نتدارس. Let's wait. Let's stop. Let's look. Let's see what this internet entails. And so they did their diras, and other than that, and they implemented that which they implemented from blocking those sites of debauchery, and other than that, those evil websites and things like that. And then they said, then they allowed it to come. So even though a thing may not directly at that seem to oppose Islam, those new things that come, but you still must look. And you look at the effect it may have right then, and perhaps you look at the effect that it will have 10, 15 years from now. So look at the internet back then, years ago when the internet first came out. Who would have thought about the fitna that we see now with the Muslims al-Asif on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and the things like that, from the sufur of the women, the ikhtilas, al-rijal bin-nisa, the free mixing, the hooking up, and other than that occurs. كل من حب ودب يتكلم في أمور الدين. Everyone speaking in the affairs of the religion who shouldn't be speaking in the affairs of the religion. So, this is how the Muslim is. They look at these affairs and they study it, and they find if those affairs are in the salih al-Muslimin, if it is in the interest of the Muslims. This is our stance, ya ikhwan, regarding anything that comes to us from those foreign practices and customs and ideas. This is our stance. Shaykh Uthaymeen says, وَمَتَى سِرْنَا بِهَذَا الْإِتِّجَاءِ, and when we tread upon this direction and this path, وَعَلَى هَذَا الْخَطِّ, فَمَعْنَى ذَلِكَ أَنَّنَا نَسِيرُ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ. This means that we're treading upon insight and in a sound direction, بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. وَإِنَّ مِمَّا يُنْدَى لَهُ الْجَبِينَ. And that which causes the forehead to sweat, meaning that which brings about grief and anxiety. وَيَسْتَدْعِي النَّظْرِ فِيهِ بِنَظْرِ الشَّرْعِ وَالْعَقْلِ. And that which necessitates that one looks into in the light of the legislation and in light of the sound intellect, is that you find al-mar'atu shaba, the young ladies, they leave out from their homes to the suq bi-albisatin mughriya, with enticing clothing, albisatin jamila, beautified clothing, whether it be short or whether it be tall, and she has an abaya over it, in which the abaya sometimes it blows open when the wind comes, and other than that, or sometimes she may lift it up. This is from those things that causes grief and anxiety. Naam ya ikhwan, because these are from affairs of fitna. And as we mentioned before, the purpose behind the jilbab and the abaya is sitr. It's to cover the woman. It's to honor the woman. So how can you then come with that which draws attention to you? Whether it be from a tight abaya that shows your figure, or whether it be from an abaya muzayyana, that which is beautified with decorations and decor and things like that. The abaya, this is not the purpose of the abaya. The purpose of the abaya is for satr. It's to cover the woman. This is the purpose of the abaya, ya ikhwan, akhawat. And then Shaykh Uthaymeen, he mentioned some other things. He said, likewise, those who go out the home mutatayyiba, perfumed, wearing strong scents, يفتن كل من في قلبي مرض من الرجال, enticing every man who has a disease in his heart. And like Shaykh Muhammad Ibrahim, he said in his risala, perhaps they may entice a woman. Perhaps they may entice a woman. Nasallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ الْمَرْأَةَ إِذَا اسْتَعْتَرَتْ فَمَرَّتْ بِالْمَجْلِسِ. If a woman applies perfume to herself and she walks by a sitting, فَهِيَ كَذَا وَكَذَا يعني زَانِيَةٌ, then she is this or that, meaning a fornicator, meaning she's in the hukum, has the hukum of the zaniya. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if one of you women go out to the masjid, فَلَا تَمَسَّ طِيبًا, do not put on perfume. And he says, you find some women, they come out their house, تَمْشِي فِي السُّقْ مَشْيًا قَوِيًّا, and they walk in the marketplace with a strong strut. يمشي يعني كما يمشي أقوى الرجال وأشدهم, like how the strongest of men they walk, as if they want to let the people know that she has energy. And other than that, or she may walk with her sahiba, with her companion, وهي تمازحها, she's joking with her, making her laugh. And other than that, بصوت مسموع, with a voice that can be heard. With a voice that can be heard. And in Asaf, you find this, ya ikhwan. This is another advice to the guardians, that you advise your women, and likewise to our sisters, that when you walk in the street, and you walk with honor and nobility. Not like we see many women, they walk with their phone and their khimar, and they're loud, and you find them with their phone sticking out their khimar and things like this, and everybody can hear them. لا يا أختي, لا يجوز لك, لا يجوز لك يا أختي. Or likewise, like Shaykh Uthaymeen says, if you're walking throughout the streets with your companion and you're loud and things like this, لا يجوز لك, it's not permissible for you, يا أختي. And he says, وتقف على صاحب دكان تبايعه وقد كشفت عن ذراعيها ويديها. Or for example, she goes into a shop or to a store to buy something or do a transaction, and her arms are showing and her hands are showing, and perhaps she may even joke with the person who's the man who's in the shop. And in Asad, we've seen this, and we said again, the qulub da'ifa, we've seen this, ya ikhwan. The women in the store, even with the kuffar, it's not permissible that you do it with a Muslim, let alone a kafir. They come in and they're joking and they're smiling and things like this. ما يجوز لك يا أختي. It's not permissible for you. Wallahi, this is not permissible for ya أختي. That you joke. Rather, you walk in with honor, respect, with hishmah, with modesty. If you have to go to the suq, And we know from the suq is from the hated places, especially for the women. It's hated for the men, the aswaq, let alone the women. But إذا كان لابد, if you have to, then with all honor. With all honor, ya ukhti. Naam. Try to finish up quickly, bi'idhnillah, ya akhwan. So, now, and then Shaykh Uthaymeen, he later on, he mentioned the hadith, the well-known hadith, when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, "Sinfani min ahl an-nar, lam arahuma ba'd." There are two types of people from the people of the hellfire. I have not yet to see them. قوم معهم سيات كأذناب البقر يضربون بها الناس. A people who have whips like the tails of cows, whipping the people. وَنِسَاءٌ كَاسِيَاتْ عَارِيَاتْ, and women clothed but naked. مَائِلَاتْ مُمَيِّلَاتْ, leaning away from the truth, calling others to lean away from the truth. رُؤُوسُهُنَّ كَأَسْنِمَةِ الْبَخْتِ, their heads are like, or their heads resemble leaning camel humps, or the humps of camels that are leaning. لا يدخلن الجنة, they will not enter the Jannah. ولا يجدن ريحها, and they will not find its smell. وإن ريحها ليوجد من مسيرة كذا وكذا, and indeed the fragrance of paradise can be smelled from a distance of such and such and such and such. Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says, rahimahullah, the Prophet ﷺ, he described these women as being kasiyat, and they're dressed ariyat. However, they're ariyat, they're naked, because that dress that you have on, or that which you're wearing, la tastur, it doesn't properly cover you. And this is a wa'id. The Prophet ﷺ, of course, this hadith is a wa'id. Sinfani min ahl an-nar, two types from the people of the hellfire I have not yet seen. So this is a wa'id, ya akhawat. Kasiyat ariyat, clothed but naked. Ma'ilat, leaning from what? Leaning from the way of the truth. So it shows when the woman makes tabarruj, when they display their beauty openly to the people, then you're leaning away from the path of the truth, from that which Allah legislated. Mumayyilat, causing others to lean away from the mumayyilat لغيرهن بما يحصل منهن من الفتن, because you can cause the men to lean away from the truth because of that, because of temptation. And then perhaps even the young ladies that may see you, who may be new Muslims, or may be Muslimat who's struggling with their iman, they say, "Oh, Fulana, she's uncovered, she's dressing like this, let me dress like this." No one's saying anything to her. Her husband's not saying anything to her. Fulana's not commanding the good and forbidden evil regarding her. Her family members didn't say anything to her. And perhaps you may be a reason for another person to come and follow you in that dress. وَعِيَاذٍ بِاللَّهِ مَائِلَاتْ مُمَيِّلَاتْ. So, pay attention to that, أيها الأخوات. Then Shaykh Uthaymeen, he mentioned some malabis in which we should be worn from. The woman should be worn from. Of course, those form-fitting overgarments, it's not permissible. That shows the form of the jism. It's not permissible for the woman to wear because it's tabarruj. It's that which is tabarruj. It shows your form. It shows your curves, and other than that, it's not permissible. Nor that which is qasir, nor that which is too short and it doesn't properly cover you, or nor that which is too thin or transparent. It's not permissible for you to wear. Now, Shaykh Uthaymeen, he ends, or almost ending, he gives some tawjihat to the awliya al-umur. And one of the problems here, ya ikhwan, one of the problems that we face here, especially with our noble sisters, is the absence of the awliya al-umur. Many women, they don't have guardians who are Muslims. And no doubt this has an effect. They don't have a Muslim father, they don't have a Muslim brother, they don't have perhaps they may not be married, or other than that, And they don't have those who can command the good and forbid the evil with them. Because the circumstances, we have a unique circumstance in America. Many of the Muslims here, they embrace Islam. They may be the only one who embraces Islam in their family. So, one of the reasons you have the lack of the awliya al-umur. You have a lack of the lack of the awliya al-umur. But those who are guardians over the women, meaning you have, of course, your wife, طبعا, but you have a sister who's Muslim, or you have a niece, or you have an aunt, or your mother, or other than that, then it's upon you to always give them nusх. It's not that, because many of us grew up with the mentality, oh, let her do her. لا. الدين النصيحة. الدين النصيحة. Even if you're falling short. Even if you're falling short. Because the women, they're targeted more than the men. The women, they're targeted more than the men. Maybe you're falling short. May Allah better all of us, ameen. But you still, because the women, they're precious, and the a'dab Islam, the enemies of Islam, they target the Shaykh Uthaymeen gets into that. They target the women. Because Shaykh Uthaymeen mentions later on, he says, because the kuffar, they can't come to the Muslims and say, make shirk, or fall into this kufr. They can't come to the Muslims, because the Muslims are people of tawheed, wallah alhamd. They remain upon their Islam. However, what do they come to the Muslim with? With muhqarat al-dhunub, with the affair of sins, and to make them look small in the eyes of the people. These things, this is nothing. You can do this until they become, till they become kaba'ir, so they become something that which is great and from those major sins. So, ikhwan, we must give importance to our guardianship over our women, over our daughters, over our mothers who are Muslim, over our sisters, over our nieces, our wives. We must give importance to ikhwan, and advising them and preventing them from tabarruj. Likewise, Shaykh Uthaymeen says even the women, those women who have classes, they may have classes and teach the other sisters and things like this, that you bring these topics up. And you spread this awareness amongst the sisters. The awareness of the chastity that the sisters they must have. Because unfortunately, now we live in a time, it wasn't like this 10, 15 years ago. But now, here in Newark, Philadelphia, the population of the Muslims has, triple, and the brothers from Philadelphia, they know that. And you brothers even from Newark, you probably know that. So, it's important, ya ikhwan, that we try to send this awareness of this tarbiyah of our Muslim sisters. We bring this awareness to them, and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we're going to try to, bi'idhnillah, put together a pamphlet that we can give out to the sisters, something small, something concise regarding the issue of tabarruj as an advice for our sisters. And lastly, we're going to close out. Shaykh Uthaymeen, he closes out and he says, وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ مَنْ لَا يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And do not be deceived by those who do not believe in Allah on the last day. فَإِنَّ هَذَا التَّبَرُّجُ وَالثِّيَابِ الْقَصِيرَةِ وَالضَّيِّقَةِ. For indeed this tabarruj, this displaying of the woman displaying her beauty, and wearing short clothing or tight clothing, or other than that, إِنَّمَا صُنِعَتْ تَقْلِيدًا لَهُمْ. It only came about following the kuffar. وَإِنَّ أَعْدَاءَكُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُمْ لَوْ دَعَوْكُمْ إِلَى الْكُفْرِ. And indeed your enemies, they know that if they call you to kufr, you won't disbelieve. If they call you to shirk, that you won't make shirk. لَكِنْ يَرْضَوْنَ مِنْكُمْ أَنْ يَهْدَمُوا أَخْلَاقَكُمْ. But what do the kuffar they want? They want to demolish and destroy your akhlaq, your lofty mannerisms that Islam has come with. Those lofty mannerisms that Islam has come with. Mannerism, ya ikhwan, has a lofty status in the religion. Has a very lofty status in the religion, ya ikhwan. Good mannerisms. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? أَقْرَبُكُمْ إِلَيَّ مَجْلِسًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَحْسَنُهُمْ أَخْلَاقًا. The one who will be closest to me in sitting يوم القيامة is those of you who have the best akhlaq. is those of you who have the best akhlaq. Many ahadith. Indeed, Allah loves the ma'ali al-umur, those lofty affairs, and He hates those lowly and debased affairs. So as Muslims, ya ikhwan, we have to get on the ball. We have to be an example. We have to be an example in this affair of akhlaq, ya ikhwan. Men and women, we have to be an example in the affair of akhlaq. Smiling, al-wafa bil-uqud wal-uhud, carrying out covenants and contracts, rushing to the help of our akhawats and ikhwa, our brothers and sisters when they're in need. Ikram al-dayf, hosting the guests. And other than that, this is important, ya ikhwan. And these are from some of the attributes that even the Arab of Jahiliyyah they had. They had good characteristics. And the Prophet ﷺ, he came and he perfected that. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتِمَّ مَكَارِمِ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Indeed, I was sent to perfect the noble and lofty character. So with that, we'll end, ya ikhwan. And we don't forget to thank the brothers here at Masjid Rahmah, Jazakumullah khair, for inviting us. May Allah reward them. And we constantly encourage the brothers to help with this da'wah, to help bi'idhnillahi ta'ala support the da'wah here in Newark, New Jersey. Alhamdulillah, you have the Masjid, which is being built, which is being fixed, and other than that, so support the da'wah with your wealth, ya ikhwan. Jazakumullah khairan, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Anwar, telephone?
لا لا أنا معي.
If you brothers can just hold your spots for 1 second. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah mabad. Inshallah ta'ala, obviously we know that the Masjid, alhamdulillah, is trying to raise money to build upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made easy for us to do in Newark, New Jersey, and that's established the Sunnah of the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wa salam. One of the brothers, he donated earlier $500 check. Now, I believe that this was announced already, but the reason why that he outside of...
What's up with that? Are they able to go back in here?
No.